Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome once again to NoDQ&A Video, the official Q&A video series for NoDQ.com. Got a lot of questions here from Formspring. You could submit questions at formspring.me/AaronRift. With that being said, let's get right down to it. First one today comes from JMSticks97. Now that we all know John Cena and Mark Henry are facing each other at Money in the Bank, would you be surprised to see Henry win the WWE title for the first time? Is it a possibility? I'll tell you what, nothing in WWE would surprise me. I think that anything is possible. I know that the long-term plan in WWE is for John Cena to be the long-term champion and carry the company. And there's been all this talk about John Cena versus Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam. I think in all likelihood this will be the story that plays out. However, I could see WWE making changes at the last minute. It's something that has happened in the past where they've changed plans sometimes the day of the pay-per-view. So, I mean, it's happened before, and somebody in WWE could think that maybe it's time to pull a swerve on everybody and have Mark Henry win the WWE title. You know, he's been with the company for so many years. Let's trick everybody. Everyone thinks Cena's going to win. Have Mark Henry win the title. And you also have to keep in mind that where does Ryback play into all this? Ryback has lost all these pay-per-views in a row. What do you do with Ryback? One idea, maybe, you could have Ryback interfere in the match at Money in the Bank and cost Cena the title. Then you could go with Daniel Bryan versus Mark Henry for the WWE title. Not exactly a SummerSlam marquee match, but you could have that. You could have John Cena versus Ryback in a feud-ending match, and maybe have Ryback beat Cena to win the feud and he gets some of his heat back. So, I mean, there are different ways WWE can go leading into SummerSlam. But as I mentioned already, I think in all likelihood, John Cena will retain and headline SummerSlam as a champion. All right, this one comes from JOAO Philippe 315. Hey, Aaron, great show. Thank you for that. I was thinking about the idea of having a Team Triple H versus Team McMahon at Survivor Series for the Power. I think it would be a good idea on paper, but maybe it wouldn't be good to go with this feud for that much time. Please answer in video. I actually think that that's a good idea. I think that Survivor Series is overdue for a big-time main event. For the past several years, Survivor Series has felt like a B show. It has really felt secondary, and I think WWE needs a big-time main event for Survivor Series to make the show feel like one of the big four again. Last year the Shield made their debut, but the fact is, at the time, nobody really knew how big the Shield would get. So I would like to see some sort of match with a huge stipulation be announced in advance for Survivor Series and make Survivor Series feel like it's one of the big four again, because in recent years, I mean, Hell in a Cell has felt like a bigger show at times, and same thing with Money in the Bank and Extreme Rules. I mean, all these pay-per-views that are secondary have felt like bigger shows than Survivor Series. All right, this one comes from Tony D. Helms 29624. Hey, Aaron, do you see WWE ever bringing back the Hardcore Championship? I always thought it would be interesting to have it defended only on pay-per-views, so there would be less restrictions on the intensity of the matches. To be honest, I don't think that it would be a good idea to bring back the Hardcore title. I think that there's already too many championships in WWE right now. And the thing is, too, with WWE being PG, they're going to have guys take some risks, but I think it's going to be in the main events where you see most of the hardcore action. The thing is, if you bring back the Hardcore title, it's more than likely going to be an opening card match or the second match on the show. And does WWE really want to have their wrestlers taking all those crazy risks in the opening match and risking them getting hurt when there's not really any kind of financial gain by doing so? So I just don't see it happening. I don't think WWE will bring back the Hardcore title in this current era. All right, next question here. Hey, Aaron, what is your take on the whole open fight night thing that TNA has going on? Also, do you think that WWE and TNA should have a maximum age for the active wrestlers? Let's say 50. Great show. Greetings from the Netherlands. To be honest, I've never been a big fan of the open fight night. I applaud TNA for trying something different, but in my view, it hasn't worked. It hasn't moved ratings at all. I think it should be dropped. I think TNA should go back to the drawing board and try something else. As far as having a maximum age for the active wrestlers, I don't think you have to have a set rule or a set age. I just think in general you need to be careful about who you put in the ring. I think it's okay to have somebody over 50 in the ring once in a while if they're able to pass their physicals and not have them take too many risks in the ring. You put them out there and just have them do a few basic things and let that be it. I think WWE's been a lot better about that, especially after the whole Jerry Lawler thing. I'm thinking that both WWE and TNA, for that matter, are being more careful about who they put in the ring. So, as long as they're cautious, I don't see a problem with putting in guys over 50 every now and then. All right, this one comes from James Tibbett 7. I read on NoDQ that RVD has signed a short-term deal. Do you think he will get a better long-term deal if he ends up getting over with the fans? Well, I don't think getting over with the fans is going to be an issue. I think that RVD will be over like a mofo when he comes back. I think it all depends on how both sides feel when the contract is up. You have to keep in mind that RVD is not going to want to commit to a long-term deal, especially with the issues his wife has had battling cancer in the past. He doesn't want to commit too deeply into something. I think it'll be like Brock Lesnar. I think RVD will come in, he'll have his run, and then when it's over, both sides will look at how things played out, and if both sides are satisfied, they'll sign a new deal. Same thing with Brock Lesnar. He came in for a year, and both sides agreed to a new deal. So I think that it just depends on if RVD wants to keep going or not. All right, this one comes from Drizzle44. Hey Aaron, what WCW gimmick matches would you like to see in WWE? Well, definitely not the Chamber of Horrors, and definitely not World War III. I think that's way too overkill. I would like to see the Triple Cage, and I know that War Games is an obvious answer. I always liked the Triple Cage match, just the whole idea of the big cage at the bottom, the medium cage, and the small cage at the top. I just thought it was cool. You know what? I actually remember one time towards the end of WCW, they had a War Games match with the Triple Cage instead of having the two rings, and I actually liked that better, even though the match was crap. I mean, that was the match that had Vince Russo, and I think he won the title in that match. But I would not mind seeing a WWE version of War Games with the Triple Cage. I think that would be something fun to watch. All right, this one comes from MN Vikes. Hey Aaron, my first question I have asked. I think to make the Money in the Bank more interesting, there should be two briefcases hanging in one match, so that anyone can choose which briefcase to go after. What do you think? To be honest with you, I think that would be too much. It would be too much of a clusterfuck. I think the best way to go is to keep the match simple. Don't make it too complicated. Don't have too much going on. Just keep it basic and simple. As it is, I think that having two Money in the Bank matches is too much. And especially with the brand extension being pretty much done at this point, I think it's best to just have one Money in the Bank match and have 6 guys. I think 8 guys is too much. I think that's pushing it. Have one Money in the Bank match with 6 guys, and the winner can challenge for either title whenever he wants over the next year. I think that's the best way to go. Something simple and not too complicated. This one comes from Y2J the Best. Gee, I wonder who your favorite wrestler is. Hey Aaron, when do you think WWE is going to change John Cena's theme music? I don't think that they're going to change it, to be honest with you. I think that it's going to be a situation like Shawn Michaels, where John Cena will keep the same theme music, and there's really no need to change it. Everybody instantly identifies the music with Cena as soon as they hear it, and the only way I could see them changing it is if he turns heel, and I don't think he's turning heel. So I think in all likelihood he will be keeping the same music for the remainder of his career. And he's had it for so long now, I don't see the point in changing it. All right, this last one today comes from I Am Voss. Hey Aaron, with Dolph Ziggler turning babyface, why did AJ still seem to be a heel on Monday Night Raw? Could this lead to a breakup between the two? I definitely don't see the two of them staying together as a group all that much longer. I think that, now that Dolph Ziggler's a babyface, it's only a matter of time before AJ dumps him and goes with her new man. It is a little bit confusing because at the pay-per-view, AJ was all crying and she was upset about Ziggler being hurt and losing the title. So one would think she was turning face with him. But then on Raw, as you mentioned, she was back out there being a heel again. So I think in all likelihood there will be a split and it will happen fairly soon and AJ will go with somebody else. All right, that'll do it for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. Subscribe, youtube.com/NoDQCAW. Tell a friend on Facebook or Twitter about NoDQ&A video, and I will see you next time for more.